Hello, Pastor Karen here. So today's video, I wanted to tell you about all the books that God had me write. Yes, it was his idea, absolutely. So I've written 4 books that are published already. I am working on 2 at the moment. So I'm just going to start from the very first one to the present and then to what I'm working on right now, just to tell you about them all from my perspective and what I was thinking as I was going through the writing process. Okay? Or not the writing process, but the motivation behind the book written that the Lord gave me. So the very first one I wrote was called FADE, and it's an acronym for Fighting Against Demonic Entities. Yeah, that sounds pretty scary. It's not a novel. This is a nonfiction book. And this person here represents Jesus, our lifesaver. These sharks in the water represent demonic entities. And then this would be a believer, this person. So when I wrote this, it was mostly to write down my experiences of spiritual warfare and all that the Lord has taught me through his word and through these experiences. So that's exactly what I did. Now this is for I would say a beginner Christian who doesn't know anything about spiritual warfare. That'd be a great book to read. Also for a Christian that maybe hasn't really got into that topic at all, or has never dealt with that topic, or didn't realize there were spiritual battles and enemy forces that come against us, and they want to know more about it. That would be a good book to read also. I've gotten many feedback throughout the years about it. People just sat down and read straight through. It only took a couple hours. And the overall theme from everyone's feedback has been, I felt empowered. So that was really encouraging to me. And I hope one day to write Fade number 2. That'd be great. So that was the first book God had me write. The second book is called Heaven is Near, and it is an ebook. You can get it like on your Kindle, your iTunes, electronic book. But I do have a little picture of what the cover looks like. See if I can get the lighting just right. There you go. Heaven is Near. And this one is dear to my heart, as they say. This one, I talk about more experiences I've had, but even some visions I've had of heaven. But the main point, the main premise of this book is to show people that you don't have to wait till you get to heaven to experience that joy that the Lord has and all the good things he has for us. You can experience that now here on earth. Why wait? So if you need that encouragement, definitely pick up that book. And all these books that the Lord had me write are available on Amazon. You just type in my name, Karen L. Tarango. Be sure to put the L in between, my middle initial, and you'll see all those books I've written. The third book I wrote is called Does God Forbid Women from Pastoring? Does God Forbid Women from Pastoring? This book honestly was very hard for me to write, not in the sense where it was just hard and from a writer standpoint. It was emotionally hard. It was emotionally hard. But I'm glad I did it. It's people always want to know what are you doing up there pastoring? You're a woman. Doesn't the Bible say, women shouldn't teach? And I address those scriptures. I address all of that. So some of the things I've gone through, persecution-wise, maybe not on a really deep level, but for me, yes. And what the Lord has taught me and how he's given me grace and called me and all those things is all in that book. It's a thin book. It's small, but it's powerful, let me tell you. I want to say it was emotionally hard because ever since I was a little girl, I've I didn't know it, but I felt that unfairness towards women. I felt it. I felt limitations put on me because I was a woman in this society, but I didn't realize it until as I was growing up and got older, and I realized, well, some women you don't see them in that type of job, or we just got done with the football season. You never see women coaches. And so I am so thrilled to see there's a woman referee on the National Football League. There's women commentating now, commentators in the football league. There's coaches now, assistant coaches. Anyways, there's one. It's so wonderful to see women in these positions that have traditionally have not been held by them simply because they're women. Now, I'm no feminist and all that business. I'm, none of that. But I'm just explaining from my end why this book was so hard for me to write. And the Lord told me before I started, he says, it's going to be a hard one to write. And I thought, is it going to be hard for me to, get it on paper? Am I going to have writer's block, all that stuff? But no, this was emotionally hard because I see that more in the world, and being mature woman now, I can put words to what I had been feeling all these years. Absolutely. And so it's my way, that book is my way of helping the cause, helping women advance. Just by writing this, I felt like I have contributed to the whole issue. And that really brings a lot of joy to me. It may be a little small contribution, but it's mine. Amen. And, my husband read it from a pastor viewpoint, from a man's viewpoint, and I didn't talk to him about any of this till way after the fact that it was published, what I just told you. And he said, wow, he had no idea. And he really enjoyed the book, and he said, I remember him saying, every person in ministry should read this. And so, anyways, there you go. The last book the Lord had me write wasn't a Christian book, believe it or not. It's called Plan Like You Mean It. It's a book for planning. Now, if you know me personally, or on my other channel, my YouTube channel, where I plan in my planner, my little planner. It's called Hobonichi Weeks. And I use stickers, and it's just a whole other world, let me tell you. You know that what this means, plan like you mean it. It's a book about planning out your life in weekly formats, in monthly formats like calendars, even yearly, daily, using stickers, using die cuts, using decorative washi tape, just all kinds of fun stuff. It's a whole other world. So I wrote this book not to add to that part, but to add to the system of planning. To plan how to plan practically, like your work schedule, your ministry schedule, those things, school schedule, the practical stuff, as well as what's meaningful, what touches your soul. Grandchildren touch your soul. You want to spend time with them. Well, you got to make time. You have to plan it out. Vacations with your spouse, things like that. Things that touch your soul. You got to incorporate that in your week, in your life, in your month. Or we're just going to be these robots going through day by day by day, just going through the motions of all the practical things and not doing anything that's meaningful. So the Lord had me write this one because I love planning. I've been an organizer type person forever. In fact, I even had my own organizing business. I'd go and help people organize their house and their garages and so on for a while there. but I finally got out of that. And so it's in me. It's always been in me. Now I have it down on paper. So those are the 4 books that God had me write. I'll just repeat it again. It's Fade, Fighting Against Demonic Entities, Heaven is Near, and Does God Forbid Women from Pastoring? And then finally, Plan Like You Mean It. And you can pick any of those up on Amazon.com. You could type in my name, Karen L. Tarango, and they'll come up and you can get them there. The books I am working on right now in manuscript form would be, first of all, there is a novel I'm writing about Jesus in the wilderness. I don't want to divulge too much information there, but I'm actually just plotting it out. Now, this will be my very first novel. I've never written a novel before. They've all been nonfiction. So it's a whole other way of writing. So I'm learning a lot. It's a long learning process. I've been working on this for a while. So that is something that's ongoing right now. And I'm hoping to, my goal is in November to take that whole month of November off from preaching and to write out my first draft of my novel. So meanwhile, I'm preparing to do that. I'm setting up things, I'm plotting, I'm working on the characters and so on. So I'm so excited about that novel. The other book I'm currently working on, and I'm hoping to be done with it in a couple months, is called Ministry in the Funeral Home. And with the little tagline, it's never about the dead, it's always about the living. Now, I'm writing a book about ministry at the funeral home because I officiate a lot of funerals, believe it or not. And what surprised me is, well, it didn't really surprise me, but what happens a lot is, and I plan on it, is to minister to those families that are hurting. And it either happens over the phone when we first make contact, or during the funeral, or afterwards, maybe sometimes at the gravesite if we're there. It is, and not only them, but the people that are there to help celebrate that life, that person that had passed away. There's a lot happening. Plus, I'm also writing a step-by-step on how I prepare to officiate a funeral. Because believe it or not, some people are asked to do that aren't even in the ministry. You know, will you give the eulogy for, you know, so and so, and they've never done it, or will you help me plan, and they've never done it. This will also be a guide that way, but the main purpose of this book is to show the ministry that goes on and for the living. So I am very excited with that. That one's moving fairly quickly, and I hope to have that done in a couple months. And it's for anybody. I mean, ministers to the layperson. It doesn't matter. I think it's going to be for everybody. It'll be an eye-opener. So anyways, thank you for watching. If you have any questions about any of these books, you just get a hold of me or comment here. I think I have all of them in stock with me, as well as Amazon, if you prefer to go to Amazon. But anyways, thank you for watching, and God bless you. Bye.